All right, welcome back. And now let's continue on the theme of corruption. The high level of non-transparency in Nigeria's oil and gas sector is arguably one of the major economic challenges Nigeria is grappling with. For a country that is still largely dependent on the revenue realized from oil, there's no telling how important it is to ensure accountability in that sector. To this effect now, the Audit Paper Advocacy Initiative has launched a new mobile application to track issues arising from the annual audit report of the oil and gas sector released by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEJI. Now, the app, simply called RemTrack, is the first of its kind in the world. It is built to organize audit reports on remediation issues as well as the progress and outcomes of reconciliation into user-friendly data that can be accessed by anyone at any time. I'm now being joined on the program by the Executive Director of Audit Paper. Epia, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you, DEJI. Good to be here.
Tell us about this initiative now, RemTrack. We know our oil industry is very opaque. People really don't understand. For instance, it's difficult to tell how many barrels of oil Nigeria actually produces on a daily basis. Very difficult to tell. Difficult to tell how much amount of oil we sell on a daily basis here. Would this application now be able to help the common man on the street like me to really get those information firsthand?
Thank you, DEJI. For all intents and purposes, that is the idea. That is the goal that RemTrack seeks to want to achieve. The oil and gas sector is designed, deliberately or otherwise, to be very opaque, and it operates to encourage citizen disinterest in the sector. So all of the technicalities and all of the jargons and all of the esoteric language and communication within the sector are a source of disinterest to this average citizen, even to the elites. I can tell you how much difficulty it is. Members of the National Assembly, for instance, who provide oversight on the sector, even have understanding these issues. So clearly, we realize that gap needs to be addressed. Because for a sector that is the major contributor to Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings, up to like almost 90% of Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings, a sector that contributes as much as 65% to our revenue generation, even though it contributes just about 10% to the GDP. There should not be that level of disinterest or that level of insufficiency in information and knowledge about the sector. So what do we seek to do? We thought that, NEJI does a lot of these audits. It does an annual audit on the sector whereby, it provides a huge trove of data and information to the citizens, to the people of the country to say, look, this is what is going on in the sector. From what we see, there are gaps here and there. It could be financial, it could be process, it could be physical gaps, and some of which includes millions and millions of dollars that are not reconciled. So citizens need to know this, and we thought that a better way to incentivize citizens to know this is to use technology to see how you can break down this huge trove of information produced in the annual reports the annual audit reports by NEJI, simplify them, organize them into data sets that citizens can relate with.
So basically, RemTrack will be filtering information now from the database of NEJI, from the audit reports of NEJI every year.
Essentially so. All of the data that you currently find in the app are provided from the NEJI audit reports. And so I need to make this point. Other people didn't just wake up to work on this. We had, consultations. And indeed, the project is actually a partnership, a collaboration, with the Civil Society Steering Committee of NEJI. NEJI is a multi-stakeholder working arrangement, a reflection of the EITI process that the rest of the world, operates. So the CSSC, the Civil Society Steering Committee, sees this as a way of increasing or broadening the advocacy space, within the sector. So all of this data that is annually released, what happens to it? We just release them and nothing happens. They are submitted to the National Assembly.
Just like we talked about in the earlier segment of this program, the audit report that comes from the.
So can we piece them together and simplify them, make them easily understandable? And one of the beauty of the app is that, to make citizens understand these data sets, to make all of this be of interest to them, you must relate it to their everyday lives and living conditions. And so a key feature of REM Track app is a REM fact feature, we call it, which take some of these issues, especially financial, that have not been resolved, that appear to be missing monies, and relate them to what these monies could do in the lives of citizens, how much hospitals it could build, how much libraries it could set up for students, how much roads it could construct for communities, how many markets. So we relate these figures so people see that, okay, in crude oil theft, for instance, which is one of the pending issues, from the current audit report of DEJI, where you have billions of dollars that are, said to be missing, right? What could this money do for you? If you know what this money could do for you, you know how much it could contribute to the GDP, for instance. So in the last 10 years, they say the country, the latest, policy brief from DEJI says that within the 10-year period, Nigeria has lost $42 billion to crude oil theft and sabotage. That's about the size of our foreign reserves.
Exactly.
So what can this money do for us? Do we need to go out borrowing if we have this kind of monies? So REMFACT relates all of these figures, gives life to them, and make them feel like, okay, this is not just some bogus sums that should not be of interest to me. I need to know why, certain companies, why certain government agencies are not remitting, or why certain government agencies have not received what is said to have been remitted. All of these covered entities, tons of covered entities in the public and private sector, the NNPCs, the private companies, the FIROS, even the Auditor General's office, all of them, because, the remediation process involves all of these entities. They all have to sit down, and look at these audit reports and say, look, now we have to remedy this situation. We have to reconcile these figures. We have to reconcile this process. So REMTRAC actually incentivizes citizen participation in that process.
Exactly.
So when citizens know and they ask questions and they demand for answers, it begins to make all of these entities and stakeholders know that, okay, this is now really beyond us. Citizens are getting interested.
That is out there in the open.
It's out there in the open. People can, on their mobile phones, tell what is not, what has not been remitted, what is missing, what needs to be remitted, and who should be held accountable, and who has not done what should be done. So when that pressure from the citizen side of things begins to happen, it makes everyone sit up, say, look, now everyone is watching. People are asking questions. They are demanding answers. We need to speed up our reconciliation of this process. So that is what REMTRAC essentially seeks to do, besides providing, basically that's information tool for citizens to try and understand what's going on in the oil and gas sector.
And basically this is both in iOS and Android, so people could just download the app on their smartphones.
It's live on both platforms, and you have data that people are already engaging with.
How frequently would you be updating the data you have on the platform?
As frequently as the audit reports are released, and as frequently as progress is made on the reconciliation process, because release of the report is a first step. A vital necessary step is the remediation process. Okay, so the remediation process is that's entire stakeholding arrangement where the covered entities, NATI, and all of those sit down and say, look, how do we reconcile these misses? How do we reconcile these processes that do not, speak to transparency and accountability? So it is that remediation process that this app also seeks to track. So when there is a tick in the clock, right, the app reports it, as long as it is communicated officially, by NATI, because like I said, it's a partnership. It's not one thing that we have tried to avoid is to ensure that all of the information, the data that is contained in the app is verified, is validated, and it is authenticated by the authorities, which is NATI. So all of the information you find there is what has been provided for and authenticated by NATI. So we just make them available in the hands of citizens, simplify them, make them into, pictures, into infographics, make them into, usable formats, user-friendly formats for citizens to begin to engage. Oh, I have this. Oh, okay. You just forward it on WhatsApp. So it keeps going and going and going. You just forward it. You just share it on Twitter. You just share it on your Facebook page. So all of that disinterest, all of that seeming, oh, this is too deep for me. No, it begins to reduce. Citizens begin to embrace it.
That's quite true. Okay, Pierre, Executive Director, Audit Report, thank you very much for coming on the program.
My pleasure, DEJI. Thank you.
We'll take a short break and the program will be right back. On DEJI 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dullards that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that band.
DEJI 360, providing clarity to issues.